Test J, passage 3, number 15. Which one of the following most accurately expresses the main point of the passage? You really have to be predicting the answer more than anywhere else on the reading comp. You have to predict the answer to the main point question. It's like the biggest mistake you guys make is you rely on the answer choices to the main point question to try to explain to you what the main point was. That is a terrible strategy. Look how long, by the way, I want to point out here, the answer choices for this question are like almost as long as the passage itself, it looks like. I mean, it's a bigger font, I guess, but it's like there's this much answer choices, which means you really got to have a good idea of what you're looking for when you go into the answer choices. So what was the main point? Well, don't strengthen copyright law. We have other solutions. Don't strengthen copyright law on the web, because you could prosecute the person who put the stuff there in the first place instead of prosecuting everybody who puts links. That would be a bad thing for the internet as a communication tool if we were going to prosecute every single person who links to stuff. Don't do that. That's the main point. A, since the distribution of a document placed on a web page is controlled by the author of the page rather than by the person who creates a link to the page, creating such a link should not be considered copyright infringement. That's pretty good. I mean, I was looking for don't strengthen the law to prosecute people who link. That's pretty much what A says, so A is a strong contender. B, changes in copyright law in response to the development of web pages and links are ill-advised unless such changes amplify rather than restrict the free exchange of ideas necessary in a democracy. That might be like an assumption of the argument. The speaker did say, hey, this would be bad for the free exchange of ideas necessary in a democracy, but B is conditional. B is a conditional statement. Don't change copyright law in response to development of web pages and links unless there's this certain set of circumstances. That's not the conclusion of the argument. That's an if-then statement. That's a conditional conclusion. That's not the main point. The main point here was don't strengthen copyright law, not don't strengthen copyright law unless there are certain circumstances. This author actually went so far as to say these circumstances are not true, therefore don't strengthen copyright law. I like A a lot better than B. C, people who are concerned about the access others may have to the web documents they create can easily prevent such access without inhibiting the rights of others to exchange ideas freely. Again, part of the argument, but has nothing to do with whether we should strengthen copyright law, so that's not the answer. D, problems concerning intellectual property rights created by new forms of electronic media are not insuperably difficult to resolve if one applies basic common sense principles. That is so far from their main point. Where did they talk about common sense principles? Where did they talk about the difficulty of resolving these issues? That is not the point at all. It's a terrible answer. You never in a million years would have predicted that answer. It just wasn't the point of the passage. E, maintaining a free exchange of ideas on the web offers benefits that far outweigh those that might be gained by a small number of individuals. What? If a radical alteration of copyright laws aiming at restricting the web's growth were allowed. It's too extreme. Where did the far outweigh come from? They didn't say anything like that. They did say don't strengthen copyright law because it would damage the free exchange of ideas. They never said these benefits far outweigh. It also never said anything about a small number of individuals. It also never said anything about a radical alteration of copyright laws. What they did with E is they took an answer that could have basically been correct, and then they cranked up the volume on it way too high to where it's no longer justified by the passage. One real important reading comp lesson is that the answers need to be conservatively stated. E is too much. And because it's too much, We can't vouch for it. We just don't have evidence in the passage to support the extreme statement of E. When in doubt on reading comp, you gotta choose a conservative, safe, boring answer. And there's like 3 different things in E that make it not safe or conservative or boring. The answer here is A.